Well, I didn't set out to be the girl that you call when there's an issue in your marriage, but I have become that girl. So I get calls every once in a while from people who know me or people who know someone who knows me. And I've talked to a couple of women lately who have been through betrayal. And they told me things were going well and their husbands seemed to be making progress. Their relationship seemed better. And then all of a sudden, they felt like they were way back to where things started, or that moment of disclosure, or back in the middle of the trauma. And they both said something that caught my attention. One said, it was a year ago this month, or it was 3 years ago this month that I found out about my husband's affair or the issue in my marriage. And when they said that, I remembered how my body remembered the trauma. We originally started dealing with the issue in our marriage right at the end of the school year. I was depressed, I was angry, I was just an emotional wasteland. But as I started to break out of denial and have to face the reality of my life, things went from bad to worse. I started having chest pain. I started dealing with anxiety. I was up at night with insomnia, and it was just a mess. My body really began to feel the trauma of what was happening in my marriage. And so for years, at the end of the school year, those crazy symptoms would revisit me. It didn't even click with me until one year I was talking to a coworker and I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me. David's doing good. Things seem okay, but my chest pain's back and I can't sleep again. And she was the one who remembered, wasn't it this time of year that you first went to counseling? We called it my cyclical anxiety. That was just the word that I made up. And so every year for several summers, that would come back and my body would feel all of those feelings again. Now I know there's actually a name for that, a real clinical name for that, what was happening in my body, and that cellular memory at some tiny little microscopic level. My body remembered the trauma of that first summer. Now, it's not something that I've done a whole lot of research on, but I do believe, and I know that there's science to back up this thought, that our cells remember the trauma that we've experienced. So today I thought I'd just share a few thoughts of things that you could do when your body remembers or when you find yourself experiencing those old symptoms again. And the first one is just prepare yourself a little bit. You might want to make a note on your calendar that you're coming up on a traumatic anniversary so that it doesn't take you off guard when you feel like your world is spinning or you're freaking out about something. You can just remember, because you prepared yourself to remember, oh, this could be just the memory that's coming back, not what's actually happening in the moment. And then thought number 2 is to stay in the present. And this is important for every aspect of recovery, just in general. We can't change the past. We cannot predict the future, and peace is found only in the present. So there are a few things that keep me in the present. The big one is just living with gratitude. When I can pause to appreciate the little things in my day, like a flower growing through the cracks in the sidewalk, or a bright yellow dragonfly, or the way my dog gets so excited to see me every time I walk in the door. Things like a beautiful sunset, those keep me in the present. And that is where I find peace. So the third idea is to take an inventory of the small changes in your life and in your relationship. That will break the cynicism. There's this negativity that comes in recovery, and when you've been betrayed and your heart has been so deeply broken, we can say things like, this is never going to change, or they are never going to change. But if you can keep track of the small changes, just put pen to paper and write it down and see that actually we are growing, we are improving, and how things are not the same as they were in that original trauma. So the fourth thought is just really practical, and that is drink a lot of water. Our cells are made of water, and so drinking pure water will just help replenish your system, release and rinse out, flush those toxins out, and it's just good to be hydrated anyway. The fifth thought is that if that trauma lingers or it becomes debilitating, you might talk to a therapist about treatment for trauma. I know there's a lot of people that are finding help with EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's a psychotherapy technique that helps reprogram your brain when it comes to trauma, and that could be something that could be really helpful for you if you're stuck in that trauma. And then the last thought I wanted to share is, more than anything, have some rituals and some routines that restore your soul. For me, getting up in the morning with a cup of coffee and my journal, having good books to read, reading the Bible, just going for a walk, it's a great way to start my day and to set me on a positive path for the rest of the day. And then being able to come back in the evening, just sit out on the patio, watch the stars come out, have a good glass of wine. How I start my day and how I end my day really help just to reset me into a good place, keep me centered. You know, I don't know how many years that cyclical anxiety or cellular memory kept visiting me, but eventually it did stop. And that is just something to remember for wherever you are in this journey, is that as long as you are working and growing and taking the steps that you know you need to take, things will not always be the same, and you won't always feel the way you feel right now.